Hello everyone and welcome back to the interview. I'm your host, Susan Lee MacDonald. Today, I'm in the Gangnam area of Seoul, Korea, in the Merck Korea offices, ready to meet our guest, the president of Merck Korea, Juergen Koenig. Let's go meet him today. Hello.
Welcome to Merck.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Merck is one of the world's oldest global healthcare companies. In Korea, Merck is known especially for its liquid crystal for LCDs. Unlike most chemical companies, Merck strives to create eco-friendly products. The company has become one of the most successful foreign companies to expand into Korea, thanks to Merck Korea CEO Juergen Koenig. Koenig is an innovative CEO who eliminated honorific titles, allowing for egalitarian communication between employees of different ranks. His emphasis on teamwork has led him to spend time with his employees, drinking tea or cooking together. Koenig also spends time giving back to society, enjoying culture through projects like creating a calendar with Korean artists and giving speeches at universities. Juergen Koenig hopes to stay connected not only to his employees, but to the passions and dreams of young people everywhere. Join me, Susan Lee MacDonald, and learn more about Koenig's business philosophy, the Merck way of putting development before profits, on this week's The Interview.
So we have also one coffee place.
Oh, a
we
little
call
cafe.
it a small canteen,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
where our colleagues can talk. It is here. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
So people can come here, have a coffee, make themselves.
Yes.
And we have also our news here. You can see a lot of news cuttings.
Yes, I see a lot of different articles.
Most of them are related to the launch of our book, The Merck Way.
I see.
When the head of the family, Dr. Starrenberg-Haferkamp, visited us. And then we had also one press conference. And you can see the different kind of focus on the article. Topic was, of course, family business.
I see, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
Very hot topic in Korea.
Definitely.
We follow Koenig to a different place. What is this wall?
You will see here
look at
where
this wall.
our history started in 1668, and even the different kind of logos which the company has. You will see the very old logo Merck, then the change, the seal of Merck.
Wow.
You can see it step by step how this has been changed. So it's what we call the historical mural of Merck.
Nice. So this is the entire history of Merck on the walls.
And also the logos, how they have changed till to the current logo, the Merck logo.
Huh. Wow, it's really nice. Wow. Well, I definitely want to ask you more about the history of Merck, and especially Merck in Korea, as well as you too.
We do it later.
Okay, that sounds great.
And on this side here you have our last 3 years calendar. The latest one, 2012.
Beautiful photos.
They are not photos. These are paintings.
Oh, these are paintings.
These are paintings.
It looks like a photo. That's incredible.
It's not. It's not. And they are, from size-wise, taller than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you can see the beautiful details on the paintings. Month September, we have this one here, and this is here exactly taller than me. It's fantastic. It's impressive.
That's incredible.
And if you see it this live and had chance to see this painting, it's really fantastic.
Wow.
The details, how much details you have it in each part of the handbox. So, my assistant Sunny.
네, 반갑습니다.
So please.
Okay. Well, look at this on this door. I love how you have this. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this later.
We can talk about this.
Wow, and look at all these flags. My goodness, are these places that you've traveled or?
No, there's a history behind and linked to myself.
Okay.
So we can also talk about this in more details.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking around and I see that you've got some artwork, and I wonder what story you have behind that one.
Well, each peach has a story, but the story is very easy. Was the first painting painted by my mother. when she
Your
was
mother's
16
an artist.
Yes, when she was 16 years old.
Oh.
And I was lucky, I got it.
That's great. She was only 16 when she did this?
Yes, yes. And it's always in my office since my first job. I'm carrying on with me from place to place.
Yeah. So it's like your mother is with you, you have family with you,
of course,
wherever you go.
Of course.
Wonderful. Juergen, thanks so much for bringing us into your office. And I know that the guys have to get set up with the cameras and everything for our interview. So I'll excuse myself while they come in and get everything set up.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
To be here. Thank you.
So now we're sitting down, and after the nice tour of your office, I'm excited to start the interview portion.
Thank you very much, Susan, to have me here.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Juergen, for bringing Arirang into your office.
Yeah, you are the first for bringing in.
Really? Oh,
Really.
I feel very privileged.
Exactly, you are.
Thank you so much. Juergen, you have been in Korea for the past 4 years, yes?
Correct.
And how do you find being in Korea? It's very different from Brazil and Germany, yes?
Well, for us, my wife, myself, it was extremely easy. And it's a very funny story because one of our best friends in our previous home country, which was Pakistan, was Consul General of Korea in Karachi. And we used to play golf, meaning our wives play golf,
yes.
and the husbands walked behind trying to hit the balls. And we have been three, the Korean Consul General and the British Deputy High Commission. And of course the ladies playing very well, and we talking about business, politics, economy. And he loves to talk about Korea. And I talk about Brazil, and the British about Scotland. So we knew everything about the three places. So the day when the company called me and said, would you consider to go to Korea, yes or no? And I said, okay, let me answer only in a couple of hours because my wife is on the golf course now and playing a tournament.
She's a big golfer then.
Yes. And then it was very easy. She said to me, let's go. There was no reason to come before to see the country because our friend Kim told us everything. And when we arrived, it was exactly as he told us. There was nothing wrong.
So when he told you about Korea, what do you remember him telling you, and what was your impression when you first got here?
I remember he always said, lovely people, very nice people, friendly people. And we always compare the Koreans with the Brazilians. They're very similar.
Oh, in what ways?
Yes. They're very open, very communicative, so lovely people. So it was for us the first impression. He said, Kim, he was right.
Well, it sounds like you were able to travel to Korea prior to actually traveling here, and that seems to have influenced your decision to come here.
Exactly. It
Wonderful.
was very easy.
Wonderful. Well, we are very happy to have you here in Korea because you have done some very amazing things here in the company as far as I know. And one of those things is that you have gotten rid of most of the honorifics in calling people's titles. For example, in Korea, if you're Mr. Kim and you're the director, you'd be Kim Isa-nim. But you've done away with a lot of that. And even for you, most people would normally call you Koenig 사장님 or 대표님. But you've chosen just to do Koenig 님. And why is that? And what's your understanding of 님?
Yes. First, it's not only my work, we've done it as a team. So the management together decided and also implemented. We create a task force team to help us on the implementation and also to choose the way to do it. What I observed at the beginning for our company, that the Korean titles, they have been handling the communication. This is why we decided, let's give it up and let's choose a way which is respectful. And respect is one of our 6 values. How we can address to each other, but making it sure that everybody is comfortable. This is why we choose the nim as Mr. or Mrs. It's a respectful way to address. So they call me, for example, Koenig nim.
So basically no one in the company calls each other by anything other than just, like Kim Nim or something Nim.
Sometimes they are very close. They call it
Okay.
only by the first name, depends
Okay.
on the relationship of the employees. We have also colleagues and even managers. They call me only Koenig. So we have my direct subordinates. They call me only Juergen. So there's a different way to do it. But if you don't know how to call the other person because you're new to the company, we choose Nim.
I see.
What we have, it isn't on the business cards. On both sides, on the English and on the Korean side, we have only the English job title.
I see. Huh.
So we have, for example, the head of pigment and cosmetics, or the head of liquid crystal marketing and sales, the head of sales of one unit. So this is how we put it on both sides and not more even translation or Korean titles.
Interesting.
We have nothing against Korean titles. I'll always make it very clear. It was not working in our company because we are promoting the open communication, we are promoting the freedom of expression, and we want people to be creative.
Yes.
And this was handling this communication and creativity in our company.
You know, I think that for any company to have better communication between employees and the employers, and between managers and the regular staff, is so important for productivity, for just general happiness within the company. And that's so unusual, especially in a Korean company where the language itself, it's structured in a way where, depending on how old you are, how young that other person is, the language and the words and the grammatical structure, the vocabulary, everything changes. So, you know, I know that other companies have attempted to do this in Korea but failed, and I'm curious how you're able to sustain this.
I will say not they fail. A few they have been successful and they have it implemented also. Depends on how it's done. It takes also time. I will not say that everybody in the company has changed. We have a few people, even with the problems, to call another one by Nim, and they are too much focusing on the Korean title because they are extremely status-oriented. And we know that we are in the status-oriented society. Korea is extremely status-oriented. But it's not what is working for our company.
Wow.
We know it takes time, but we are helping them, we are talking to them, and even the colleagues, and the day will come, they will also see it will be not more necessary to have Korean titles. We spoke to even Korean sociologists at the universities, from two of them, and they told us that in 20 years, we will not have more Korean titles. If you see how global Korea is becoming. So this kind of title is not more fitting in the global operation conglomerates. So we have many Korean companies with fabrics in South America and Europe. Do you believe they have Korean titles there? I'm sure not.
Well, I really think that that some of the thinking that has to go behind making that decision is what has allowed you to just even stay here and have such great rapport with the people that you work with. I know that some of the people that you work with seem to be very excited to have you here.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's what they said. And we didn't pay them separately.
Good.
What are some of Merck's most popular products here in Korea?
I'm not here to make marketing, but we are in the pharmaceutical area, we are in the chemical area. And in the chemical area, we are here in performance materials, as well as in what we call Merck Millipur division. In performance materials, we are well known as a local researcher and producer of liquid crystal, which
That's
we
the
all
LCD,
use.
right?
Exactly. The liquid crystal is an invention of Merck. Liquid crystal was invented over 100 years ago by Merck. At that time, there was a product which a researcher found out with certain properties, but no application. So the first application came with the small Tamagotchis.
Okay.
It's not from your time, but the Tamagotchis. And then later on, the displays and watch displays, small displays, the Game Boys. And then now you have the huge TV screens, even 3D. This is an invention, liquid crystal, from Merck. We have also pigment and cosmetics, where we are operating in certain niches only. And then we have also the pigments for the security. For example, for bills, So many central banks use it for the printing of the bills.
Really?
Don't ask me if on the 50,000 Korean won bill our pigments are available or not, because we have confidential agreements with all our customers.
I see.
But we never disclose in which country we are delivering our pigments for the security
But you can tell me, like in my ear.
Later on?
Yes.
I will not. And this is in the area of pigment cosmetics, in the liquid crystal. We have also products in what we call performance materials, photovoltaic and solid state lighting, OLED. We have OLED application lab here in Korea also established. Besides this group of performance materials, we have the called Merck Millipur.
Yes.
I just went yesterday to the Bio Korea, the huge fair here in Korea at Kintex, where we are promoting our products for all the areas in the area of formulation, quality, downstream and upstream for the biotech industry. This means Merck is a perfect partner for the new upcoming biotechnology industry in Korea.
Yes.
This is a second division where we have also laboratory chemicals, we have lab water filtration systems and so on, products for the bioscience, for example. And then we have the pharmaceutical part, which we call the division called Merck Serono, with all our prescription-based products in the therapeutic areas like oncology, cardiovascular, diabetes, growth hormones, fertility, and so on.
Wow.
Where we are also growing very fast.
Merck in Korea has a couple of very important lab facilities. Tell us a little bit about the R&D facilities here.
We are very proud to have it because we have been in Korea over 20 years. We have a production facility for liquid crystal mixtures, and we have 1.5 years ago inaugurated our new R&D facility.
It's really state-of-the-art as far as I hear.
Yes, it is. It is really fantastic. It's in Pyeongtaek, a wonderful building where we have all our R&D facilities. And last year we established there the first OLED application lab outside Germany. So we're very proud that we have been the first country allow it, but it was a huge fighting with the headquarters.
How did they decide to have it in Korea as opposed to some other country? Why Korea?
We prove it that Korea is the right country to be invested. And if you see all the ongoing investments in Korea, the high tech, the change, the fast change of technologies globally. So for us, it's the right country to be, and the major players, global players, are also here. So it was at this point easy to establish. But this reminded me once when I was in Germany, I had an interview with a journalist of a famous German newspaper. And then she asked me, when you talk about Korea, what you will think first of all? And then I answered without thinking, it's a wonderful test market. And then we debated, I believe, really 15 minutes on the subject, and she was really fighting with me. How you can say a test market is only a peninsula, it's only 50 million inhabitants, it's not. And then I said, talk, and I said to her, look, how long do you have your mobile phone? And she, typical, very tall German, very proud, said, 3 years. And I said, look, and a Korean will never have it more than 6 months. So this is why Korea is a perfect test market, because each Korean want to have the latest features, the latest models, applications, and they want to test it, always. So the perfect test market, high-tech driven country.
Absolutely. Now, Juergen, I'd like to ask you about some of the kind of hidden things that people may not know about the Merck company in Germany, some of the history. Now, in addition to doing the liquid crystal display, the LCD, and some of the cardiometabolic and ontological type of pharmaceuticals, your company has history of having some very controversial types of pharmaceuticals. For example, when opium was kind of really in vogue way back in the day, and morphine was extracted from opium, Merck was the one that actually carried morphine throughout the entire world. Isn't that correct?
Yes, correct.
And then, not only that, from my other research, Sigmund Freud was a big fan of helping to develop cocaine that Merck developed. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yes.
So you guys made morphine available, cocaine available, and ecstasy.
Yes.
So with that type of history, clearly Merck has had a huge impact on the world. What do you say to people who might say, you know, oh my goodness, that's a company that created cocaine and morphine and ecstasy? What do you say to that?
Look, whenever I see a terminal patient for who there's no more solution, I always say, thanks God that we have morphine, that Merck has done something in this way. And I remember it because my mother passed away 3 years ago, and she was on the end a terminal patient. And my brother is also a medical doctor, and he also told me, thanks God, there was one company called Merck, and we can give her now morphine without she was knowing it. So I think I'm very proud that I work for a company who has developed this kind of product, but always following a code of conduct and always following certain values. So it was not a way that it was created, developed, and given free of charge on the street for the kids in front of the schools. No, it was always done with responsibility and with the respect to the society, to the patient.
Do you think that the people who initially created cocaine and ecstasy from within Merck could ever have imagined that there would be such a big problem with cocaine and ecstasy nowadays?
I think for each researcher, they are not thinking on the consequences. But I think the company has the responsibility always to follow rules and regulations and to make sure that the application is properly done. And on this point, I can say Merck has always done it properly. Merck has always followed and has always worked close to the governments and has always contributed even very often to create rules and regulations in countries to make sure that the product will be properly used.
I know that when my mother was pregnant with me and she was delivering me, she always tells me the story how she was in labor for over 16 or 18 hours. And that it was morphine that actually helped her to get through giving birth to me. So I guess I have to say thank you to your company.
You came to the world very high, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I think I'm still a little bit.
This is why you are a happy person.
There you go.
Juergen Koenig, CEO of Merck Korea, has come to speak with students at Yonsei University. Koenig is known for his eagerness to interact with students at universities around the world. What will he be speaking about today?
We consider ourselves as a family company, global company, but working on a different way, with a set of values, and being a family-owned company. Over 344 years, I think we have a couple of messages to deliver for the younger generation.
Today, Koenig's talk focused on the central aspects of the Merck way: courage, success, respect, responsibility, wholeness, and transparency, and how these factors make up his business philosophy.
Again, this is the Merck way.
자기 기업에 대한 소신 같은 거를 많이 밝혀주셔서 그런 점이 굉장히 참신했던 것 같아요.
After the lecture, the floor is open to students for questions. The students take the opportunity to ask questions they've always had about business and management.
CEO has introduced the company to us, and I have know something about the spirit of the company, persistence, innovation, and so on.
Because Merck has a 3 years history of being in establishment, so that teach me about always chasing your dreams and not giving up halfway.
Juergen Koenig is happy to take time out from his busy schedule to meet with young students in Korea. It seems clear that this passion for working with people and seeking answers through discussion was the heart of Merck's secret to its long history of success.
Why do you think Merck is so successful here in Korea? Or would you consider Merck being successful here in Korea?
You are saying it to me. What I can only mention is that we are a great team. I really believe in our team. We are working hard together. We have, for example, in our R&D center, only Koreans. We're very proud about this.
Only Koreans, so no Germans.
They are in the R&D. We have only Koreans.
Interesting.
They have been also abroad for a couple of years, a few of them. And at the moment we have also Koreans outside. This is normal. But people always believe that we have a lot of crazy Germans working our R&D. It's not the case. We have Korea, and Korea is developing high level of education and is delivering high level of people. So there's no need to bring people of them from Europe or from US. So we are very proud about this. So you have high standard education, you have people here available, not only in R&D, but in all other areas. In the area of medicine, in the chemicals. So it's a place where you can find your employees with high standards.
Interesting. When you decided to come to Korea and be the president of Merck here in Korea, did you imagine that the company would grow quite as it has since your arrival here?
Yes, I was sure, and I was also sure that in different periods we will have a good time. I'm saying this because we have a great team here. It was always a great team. Not always I'm here. In the past, the company always had high growth rates. I can see in the last year, after we implemented a very specific strategy for the pharmaceutical market, we are also growing very fast. We have built up a good team in this area, and now we're doing also very well. I was sure that the company will do very well. I remember in 2008, I came, and I always have been a fighter because Brazilians are fighters to survive. And there's no way to lay down and to cry. When this crisis started, I was in one of the flights back from Darmstadt and from Frankfurt, and then on my side was sitting a Korean entrepreneur, owner of a factory, and we have been talking about the possibilities which we have here in Korea with the crisis. And a few seats behind us, there have been two Germans, and they have been doing a lot of noise and crazy and crying because the crisis now and how to do it, everything will be stopping and the business will not be. And I observe that there's one Korean and Brazilian talking about the opportunities. And they are only crying and about the crisis. So who will come out earlier? It's Korea with this kind of mentality. And Korea in Asia was the first country came out from the crisis.
Yes.
This has a lot to do with the Korean spirit.
Yes. What you've just mentioned is the Korean spirit of resiliency and their ability to kind of stand back up after having been defeated or having some trials. And I know in the 97, what Koreans call the IMF generation, when there was a lot of the intervention from outside to help Korean banks and the financial system. And also several years ago, Koreans just know how to kind of get back up. What do you think in your analysis of your experience here shows about the Korean resiliency?
It's very easy for me to answer this, but I will answer with a question.
Okay.
You are very good in Korean. What is the name crisis in Korean?
위기.
And what means 위기? 위 and 기 is a combination of two words. Danger and opportunity. And in how many languages you have this kind of combination for danger and opportunity as wiki?
Interesting.
Yeah, you have it in Korean, in Chinese, but not in many. So I think this is one why the Korean came out first from the crisis. It's showing in the language, in the history. Korea and Koreans have all been fighting. How many invasions the country passed through.
Yes.
So if you see it, each Korean is a fighter. Yeah, he will. Let's move forward, and he will never have time to spend to cry and to. No, he will go for the next step. Yeah, and very fast. This is in the history, in the language. You see it's a Korean spirit.
Fantastic. I love your explanation of that. let's get into your personal life a little bit, and because you've told me a lot about Merck. I would like to know about you. Now, you are of German ethnicity, but were born in Brazil.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, do you consider yourself German, Brazilian? What do you consider yourself?
When we came in, you saw the flags in my office, and you asked me, what about the story of the flags? And there are 7 flags which I always carry with me. There's one Brazilian flag where I was born. There's a flag from Germany because my father was German. A flag from Austria because my mother was from Austria. So there is a flag from Switzerland because my wife is Swiss. Is a Peruvian flag because she was born in Peru.
My goodness.
Then we have the flag from Germany again, because we spent years in Germany. The flag from Pakistan, where we spent 10 years of the life. And then a Korean flag, where we have been now for 4 years. So the flags is on the end, the history. So, European parents born in Brazil, and if tomorrow we have a soccer game between Germany and Brazil, it's not a secret. I'm for Brazil.
Yes.
There's no way. And I'm very happy that even our sons, both, they spent only few years in Brazil, but they have a strong link to Brazil. And they will also always put Brazil first on the ranking when there is a kind of soccer game.
Now, considering yourself Brazilian, I'm curious, what was your first language? Portuguese? Was it German? English?
At home, of course, we have been supposed to speak only German because my parents were afraid that we will not learn the German language if we start to speak only Portuguese. But of course, if all the neighbors, the friends, was in Portuguese.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was bilingual education. It's normal.
Automatically.
Yeah, Portuguese and German. I went to the German school, but always with all the Brazilian program. I went to a Brazilian university, so it's normal.
So going to a German school, but you played with Portuguese kids, not Portuguese kids, but Brazilian kids speaking Portuguese. Was there ever a time where you felt confused and were speaking German when you're supposed to be speaking Portuguese and vice versa?
No, it was at the beginning, I say, there's a very funny story, was my father was too strong with this German speaking, and we have been supposed not to speak Portuguese at home. And all the servants at home, they came from the south, they could always speak German. And so in the house, with all the servants, it was with the gardener, with everybody, it was only German. And I remember when my sister, she's 1 year older, went to the school, German school, and she came home, and I was, tell me, how is it? I was crazy to go to the school also, and to leave the kindergarten. And then she said, I don't want to go more because there's a teacher, she speaks only Portuguese. And I said, great. And then my parents started to have concern. And so my father terminated all the servants and had hired only Brazilian servants. So we started to speak only Portuguese with the servant at home.
Interesting.
And I remember the first dinner when it was served by the Brazilian maid, and then I started to speak with her perfectly in Portuguese, and my father, his eyes, he wanted to kill me, but he was supposed to say nothing, because just weeks before, I don't know what I said during the dinner in Portuguese, and he slapped me. Right? It was a very German education. And then it was, I paid him back.
With your perfect Portuguese.
Exactly. Yeah? And he was thinking, I'm sure, and I never can forget this image. Right? How this guy learned it? Of course, I took my bicycle, I went to my friends, and we spoke always in Portuguese. They've been very neighbors from France, from UK, from US, and the only common language which he had was Portuguese.
Interesting.
But of course we spoke Portuguese.
Now, what language do you feel more comfortable in when you're talking to your wife? Do you speak?
At home, we do speak Portuguese, my wife, myself. With our sons, normally, currently, they are adults, we speak any kind of language, but when the subject is serious, they will switch over German, because German was the language which was spoken at home in Brazil with them.
I see.
So the two boys, between themselves, they always speak in German, And but with my wife, I speak Portuguese at home.
Interesting. Have you begun to learn any Korean by any chance?
Of course, so be careful. It's not good as your Korean, but I'm always, when I'm in meetings with Koreans, they always ask me, how good is your Korean? I said, it's not so good, but be careful. Be careful.
Juergen, tell me about your time in Pakistan. You said you were there for about 10 years, yes. And I imagine that that's where you told us that you found out more about Korea with the Consul General there. What was that time like? 10 years is a long period of time. Why did you choose to stay that long?
First, I should tell you that I spent the first 3 years for my previous company, and then the last 7 years for Merck. So I changed in between.
I see.
Nevertheless, it was for me an amazing period, and for my family. I always like to say that I'm very grateful to my family, my wife and the kids, that they came with me. So I had always the possibility to have my dreams realized, because my dream was always to be CEO and in the country outside Germany or Brazil. And I got once this dream, and this started in Pakistan and later on here in Korea. So I'm living my dreams. So, but I'm doing it only because I have support from the family. I know it's not easy for the family, not easy for the wife, most probably, always to start from the zero. Because my wife is also a professional, she's a translator and interpreter, and wherever she is in a new country, she has to start again. So for me it's easy. I'm coming, oh, nice office, right? Assistant is there, it's always done. But who will really build up the network, who will build up the home and make the home functional is my wife.
Yes.
And then on the top, to build up her own life and her own career always. So it's not easy for the wives. But I've been very lucky on this point.
Well, it sounds like your wife is a really amazing woman. She's fluent in, what, 5 or 6 different languages. She's also learning Korean too, yes?
Yes.
And do you practice the other languages together? Did you ever learn Urdu, and had you kind of practiced that together?
Yes, I'm less, but she yes. But she went to the market, and my wife will always make sure that she will not spend too much money with nothing. So she's an excellent bargainer. So it's for this you need a language. Right?
Given how much your wife has supported you over the years, would you mind taking just a few moments to look into one of our cameras here and to say a little something special to her? I imagine that she can understand English too, so if you don't mind not speaking in Portuguese, but maybe saying something to her.
I do not need to say it to the camera because I'm saying to her every day, thank you, darling. She knows, right there. Thank you, darling. He knows for me every day how grateful I am. How lucky I am. How
is it that you keep your marriage fresh and alive? It seems like you're still very much, in love with her.
So
your eyes are sparkling when you talk.
Now you're trying to find out my age, but this is a Korean way to ask the age of the person. How long you're married, when you got graduated, and so on, so on. I have no problem. I'm 58 years, young or old, call it as you want. So I have not a problem. We are married over 30 years, and I said I'm very lucky. So I found the love of my life.
Wow. How did you two meet?
Oh, you want to know not too much, right? We worked in the same company. Yeah, and even working in the same company, we have been good friends for a couple of years. But then one day, click, and then we fall in love. But this came much later. And
years later, you're still together, traveling the world, living in different parts of the world, enjoying new cultures and new foods. It seems like you've got it all.
I'm a lucky guy.
I do have a question about your cooking. I hear that you are a huge fan of cooking Korean food. Tell me about how that began.
I had a hobby when I was single, and I used to cook once a week for friends. Yeah. And when I got married, I gave it up. Was my wife, I cannot compete with my wife, right? No way.
Oh, really?
Yes, she's international cuisine, and then the South American also, and she will always change a dish every time. It's always a surprise because she will never do this dish the same way the second time. Always she will change something, and this makes amazing. But I had it as a hobby only. I give it up, and then later on, when the sons left the home to studies, we start to cook together on the weekend, on the Sundays.
Oh, that's a nice bonding activity.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what I done it when I arrived here in Korea is my team, the executive committee members, they have been too formal. And to each other on beginning calling by the Korean titles or by calling Mr. Koenig and so on, so on. I said, no way. So I invite of them once for dinner in my home. And everybody came and let's see what Mr. Koenig will offer as a dinner. And then when we had the first drinks round, I said, so guys, now I have good news and bad news. Which one you would like to hear first? And then let's go for the good news. And so the good news is that the starter and dessert is ready. I made it. And the bad news is that the main dish, we will do it together. I hand over to each of them an apron with the name embroidered here,
nice.
but only the first name, and said, as you must know, the chefs, they used to call each other by the first name without any kind of title. And from now onwards, we will do it. And everybody who will miss this will need to pay 1,000 Korean won to a box which will be collected by the CFO for charity.
That's great.
So, and then we start to go, and I built up 8 stations in the kitchen. So one need to cut the onion, the other one the garlic, and so on, so on, so on. And then we done a wonderful dish. And the tradition is that whenever we have a change in our executive committee, because one is leaving, one is coming, then we are cooking together.
That's a fantastic idea.
And we done it a couple of times. We done together European dish, we done a Thai dish, we done a Korean dish also. Every time it's different. Once we decided to get a lesson and we invited one famous Korean chef to teach us. So we cooked together, but with him, and he could teach us how to do it, how we should observe any kind of principles to make it also nice and funny.
What is your favorite Korean food then? If you had to choose at least one.
I have it once and I like it. It is not a secret. It's japchae. Why? Not because it's only the glass noodles, but you can be, as a chef, extremely creative. You can do it with meat, with seafood, with chicken. You can give Indian flavor, Italian flavor, French flavor by putting the French herbs. You can be extremely creative with the kind of vegetables which you will cut and put in. This for me one of the dishes which Korea should promote it more internationally because it's very easy to adapt to each culture, to each country.
Yes.
Oh, it's easy, it's moral. When I open the newspaper, if I hear the news, I think what we need really, it's moral. It's the courage to do the right things, things which we learned and have been taught by our parents. And I'm missing them a lot in the global politics, in the global economy. I think we need a turnaround globally on this subject.
I'd like to ask you about your interest in the lesser known sides of Korean culture. Tell me about that lesser side of Korean culture that you have kind of fallen for.
When we came into my office, you asked about the paintings, and I just showed you the painting of my mother, and you said, now I know why you like art. I believe, yes, it must be because my mother was an artist and she painted a lot, and maybe I got something from this from her. I like paintings, yes. We do have at home, I think not. We have paintings from each country where we lived. So I have also Korean paintings at home. A couple of paintings from Pakistan, from Europe, and from Brazil. And I always take them. I need them for my daily life. So I have not a second home and where I can enjoy it once when I'm retired. I need to have my paintings daily and enjoying them on daily basis. What we done, when I came to Korea, was ask my colleagues why we cannot have a corporate calendar and why we cannot do it, because I done it in the previous company also. And I said, let's see it and let's work on this. And then we start to look for paintings. And I really went to each and every single gallery, not only in the Insadong area, but in Sambong-dong, in Gangnam. So in all the gallery names them, I went.
Wow.
And to see also the different kind. It was really, I will say, nearly 1 year work on this. And then I was impressed with one painter, young lady from Busan, and Mrs. O, and then with her we done our first calendar. It's more naive Korean paintings, modern paintings. And I remember when we distributed this calendar worldwide, everybody asked me, but this is not Korean. It could be in France, could be in US. I said, yes, you can see it how international Korea is. This was our answer. Then we had the second calendar which we launched, was from Mr. Lee. He is also based in Posong, close to our factory, with modern art paintings also. Wonderful mix of colors and giving the right messages.
Nice.
This was the second. The third one was suddenly someone said, wow, this one is real Korean. When we
because it had more Oriental or Asian images.
Hanboks,
yes.
The Korean hanboks, the ladies from the back side. And everybody asked me, but why no one face? I said, look, it's very easy. You should ask the painter. But this is what I like it a lot. And the painter done it with this proposal. You have the freedom to imagine the history of the lady wearing this hanbok.
I see.
Because there is a face behind, there is a story behind, there are characteristics behind, which you can imagine by yourself. And of course, we will launch very soon our fourth calendar. I cannot disclose it here, it's a secret, but we are also working on the fifth calendar, because it takes normally 12 to 18 months from the beginning till the launch of the calendar. And they have been very successful in promoting the Korean art, which for us is very important, because we are living here and we want to show how global, international, but also traditional Korea can be.
Fantastic. Now, last but not least, as a CEO of a major pharmaceutical company here in Korea, a foreign company here in Korea, what would you
One of them, not the major, one of them.
One of them. What would you say is a strength or several strengths of yours that that bring something different and fresh into the leadership of your company here?
I always like to say, do what you like to do with passion. And at least I have the opportunity to do it with passion. So I'm doing what I like to do. If you would ask me to do something else, no, it's really what was my dream. I'm living my dream, and with passion. Don't do it only on the halfway. Do it totally. This is always my recommendation. And when I talk to the Yonsei students, I also rose a question on the ends and asked a few of them what kind of dreams you have. There was one Chinese, he said, I would like to have a chain of Chinese restaurants. I said, great. There was another one, he said, I want to have a lot of money. I said, good. What you will do with the money? I don't know. I said, think about this. It's very important to know what you want for what you want. And then do it always with passion.
I love the idea that you can learn no matter what your status is in society, no matter what age you are, no matter who you are, that you can always learn from someone. I think that's a great philosophy to have, and I'm sure that that is something that your employees feel. I'm sure that's something that the people who work with you feel, and my guess is that they appreciate that type of attitude because it makes them feel important. It makes them feel very strong. And it's not only an effective business management strategy, but it seems like it's just very genuine from your heart.
Thank you. But today I'm also learning from you. Great communicator, of course. So I'm taking also lessons home from you.
Well, thank you so much, Juergen. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you today, and I know that a lot of our audience members are going to have just one more great impression of people who have come to Korea, been successful, and choose to come to Korea because it's such an amazing country, and you're definitely one of the biggest examples of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Thank you.